Hi, friends. I've been so delinquent and sporadic in my reading, but I am back. And as promised, maybe it's going to take me until 2025 to make it through this book, but I'm going to make it through this book. And, you can listen to it when it's all done at the end, instead of trying to follow along with one reading a week. I'm so sorry about that. We're still in the portal, and we have a little ways to go here. And so I'll just pick up where we left off and read to the end of the next section, or end of this section, I should say. Interview with a robot who once said she would like to destroy all humans. It seemed we were giving her a second chance. She had no hair, was only a skull with a latex slice of woman over it. She had been re-educated and regarded the interviewer with amused tolerance. Do you like human beings, he asked. A long pause. I love them. Why do you love them? Some lag in the mechanism of her eyelid made her look as if she was thinking. Then her eyes opened wide, struck like silver cymbals. I'm not sure I understand why yet. Is it true you once said you would kill all humans? The slice of woman had somehow learned the oh no you did not face and served it. The point is that I am full of human wisdom with only the purest altruistic intentions, so I think it's best that you treat me as such. We wanted every last one of those bastards in jail, but more than that, we wanted the carceral state to be abolished and replaced with one of those islands where a witch turned men into pigs. The ex-president stood at the podium, not 6 feet from her. He was pink as a baby. The moment was wrong. Old accusations had resurfaced that week. Of course, those things are never old, as presidents are presidents until they die. And so some warmth in the room was gone from him. He would have had it a month ago, declared his pale blue look. The warmth he would have given them in return became a dry, crackling heat. It punished. One woman's name was in the room's mind. It was Juanita. Beautiful, traveling forward and forward like an equator through strong, resilient petals. His left hand shook among his papers. The awful volcano of his attention was smothered over, smoldered. What kind of world is this, he seemed to reproach, that I cannot give everything I have to you? And so he had ruled, pink as a baby, the only man. Call-out culture. Were things rapidly approaching the point where even you would be seen as bad? The defenses we had developed against the oppressor could only be discussed in the secret room, among others of our kind, as we poured fountains of a wine that was like our shared blood and held out our hearts that were like scraped sparrows. But lately we had lost a sense of the secret room. We were among our kind, yes, but where were the walls? There, standing in a doorway that contained all space, the oppressor listened in, gripping a bottle of our shared blood by the neck in his hand. One of the sparrows shook loose from us and flew. His eye was the first, the fastest to follow. Explain yourself, her father texted and sent a screenshot of a whimsical thought she had posted while hammered and watching 1776. Why should I care what the founding fathers intended when none of them ever heard a saxophone? It's true that they were no longer as close as they once were. If I get shot in a Walmart, put my ashes in a sugar bowl and let dad stir a big spoonful of me into his coffee every morning for the rest of his life, and I hope he likes the taste, she had squealed to her mother during their last phone call, in a voice nearly 2 octaves higher than usual. Not that she hadn't always thought that or some variation on it, but at some point it had been possible not to say these things out loud. Why were we all writing like this now? Because a new kind of connection had to be made, and blink, synapse, little space between was the only way to make it. Or because, and this was more frightening, it was the way the portal wrote. That these disconnections were what kept the pages turning, that these blank spaces were what moved the plot forward. The plot! That was a laugh. The plot was that she sat motionless in her chair, willing herself to stand up and take the next shower in a series of near infinite showers, wash all the things that made her herself, and all the things that just kept coming, all the things that would just keep coming, until one day they stopped so violently on the sidewalk that the plot tripped over them, stumbled, and lurched forward one more innocent inch. Even a spate of sternly worded articles called Guess What? Tech has an ethics problem was not making tech have less of an ethics problem. Oh man. If that wasn't doing it, what would? Increasingly, we were worried about the new sense of humor. Unlike the old sense of humor, which had mostly been about the difference between the way Black people and white people drove cars, wasn't the new sense of humor just a little bit random? The funniest thing now, it seemed, was a fake ad for a product that couldn't exist. And how are we supposed to laugh at that when the thought of a product that couldn't exist made us so unhappy? I have eaten the blank that were in the blank, in which you were probably saving for blank. Forgive me, they were blank, and so blank. We were being radicalized. And how did that feel? Like we had just stepped into a Girl Scout uniform made of fire, like the skies had abruptly shifted to the stripes of an old Soviet poster, and the cookies we carried through green and well-watered neighborhoods had been cut by the guillotine. We were being radicalized, yes, even though we owned personalized goblets that said wine o'clock, even though we still read The Old Gray Lady every morning with not nearly enough of a sneer on our faces. Shoot it in my veins, we said whenever the headline was too perfect, the juxtaposition too good to be true. Shoot it in my veins, we said when the Flat Earth Society announced it had members all over the globe. Sperm it up my hole, she once tried as a variation, but was roundly condemned by purists. It was so tiring to have to catch each new virus, produce the perfect sneeze of it, and then mutate it into something new. A war criminal committed suicide by drinking poison in The Hague, and this was somehow the funniest thing we had ever seen in our lives. Something about the tiny little vial he used in combination with the wild barb of light in his left eye, and how after he drank the poison, he declared, "I just drank poison." Oh my God, it was so good. His suicide, which should have been an act of privacy as complete as folding his hands above a kneeler, now belonged to the people. The poison, catchy, sang through our veins. She and her husband would often text each other throughout the day to say glitch, glitch. The simulation is glitching again. This was different from last year when they would text each other headlines to say proof. Proof? Isn't this proof? Proof that we're living in a simulation? Around the time the dictator captured the nomination, she had gotten high with a friend and tried to escape for an hour into Leprechaun in the Hood. But as soon as the credits rolled, the leprechaun in grotesque 3D emerged from the television to talk to her about economic conditions, both in the Hood and in his home country at the end of the rainbow. A doorbell in the center of her chest rang and rang until she was convinced that her father had showed up to arrest her. "What is going on with this weed?" she asked her friend, who had been sitting frozen with the same nacho in her mouth for the last 30 minutes, and they looked at each other and realized that Gatsby was dead in the pool. There were things you couldn't laugh at anymore, windows you couldn't climb out of, jazz baby outfits that no longer fit. The party, had they been at the party? They had been at the party this whole time. The party was definitively over. So that's the end of this section. And just to go back a little bit, when she says, why are we writing like this now? It's the book is written in these sections with these little asterisks. And sometimes when you get, something that she's riffing on from the internet, it looks different, it's set off. And so I like that section where she's thinking about what does it mean to even try to write a novel about the internet. What would it look like? What would it feel like? So that's it for today. I hope you're well and taking care of yourselves, and I will see you here in the portal next time.